Hey everyone, Mr. Devil here, Kenny Danico, 3-time Stanley Cup champion of the New Jersey Devils, and you're listening to the Uncle Pucker's New Jersey Devils podcast. Let's go Devils!
Why is Ken Danico yelling at me?
Ken Danico's always yelling. I think
He's
I
a
sprained
boomer.
my wrist. It fucking hurts, man.
And lonely, eh?
Oh, you're going to set us up for that already, are you?
No, I'm being serious. This isn't a masturbation fucking joke. I actually think I sprained my wrist. Like, I don't know what I did, but it really freaking hurts. Anyway.
I found myself sleeping like a T-Rex the other day, like with my arms tucked underneath me, like this, and like my wrist hurt for like a week after that.
No, for
Why
you,
were
I
you
know
sleep-
that's not why. Chris, I believe.
I was walking around
Well, yeah,
in my
'cause I need
dream
both hands.
in Jurassic Park, and I was looking for a bathroom. I was a T-Rex, and I couldn't find a bathroom.
Hey, the sleep needing to pee story was for off air.
See if we can
I'm
bring it
sorry.
back.
Yeah.
That's why we're
You
6
please strike the last statement from the
Yes,
record, please.
But apparently there are a lot of slides in the World Trade Center when you can't find a bathroom. So
I remember, I don't remember my dreams too much, but I remember my dad used to own a racquetball club in Colonia, New Jersey. Actually, the first racquetball club ever in New Jersey. Yeah. And it had a big Olympic-sized swimming pool, had a big 20 by 40 hot tub. Like, the thing was huge. And we used to go there, like, me and my sisters and my mom and dad, like, when they were closed and stuff, and we would swim and I remember when I was little, I was having a dream. I dreamt that I was there, and there was like you were saying, slides in the World Trade Center. There was like 100 hot tubs, and they were all on different levels. I remember this dream. I don't remember any of my dreams, but I remember like having this dream of like 30 hot tubs, and you could take slides down into these different jacuzzis and all this weird shit. Yeah, no idea why.
yeah. Well, Chris,
guys,
slides are a representation of the various stages of life.
Well, mine probably just had jacuzzi on the mind. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So the final is set. The rematch is locked in. And I do want to talk to you guys all about the series coming up, but I do want to talk about last night's game. So Dallas Edmonton last night. I have so many gripes about so much shit. I don't want to just spend it bitching about everything, but I, like, me and Tony especially, like, pound the table for Peter DeBoer. And then I watched that game last night, and Peter DeBoer might be the biggest asshole in the fucking NHL. So before I do want to talk about the Ottinger thing. All right, so he pulls Ottinger after 2 goals on 2 shots. They're down 2-0, and he puts Casey DeSmith in, who had all of 0 playing time in this entire playoffs.
Wow.
What did you guys think of that move? Would you have done it? And what did you think about what DeBoer said, if you don't know, after the press conference, where he essentially threw Ottinger under the fucking bus? So I'm real curious what you guys think.
I don't fucking pull anybody on 2 shots. I don't care. I know it's 2 goals, but I don't do that. He's your number one, and like you said, the other guy didn't even sniff the playoffs yet. Desperation, sure, but no, I don't do that.
So I turned the game on, went to start cooking dinner. I was making chicken tacos for everyone who wants to know. So I threw the chicken in the pan.
Love a good chicken taco.
Came back, and it was 3-0. And I was like, what the fuck happened?
Casey DeSmith is in goal.
And Casey DeSmith's in goal, and Ray Ferraro is sitting right next to Jake Ottinger, shitting all over him. So I was like, well, this is a turn of events. From what I understand and saw the first couple goals, like, they weren't like necessarily his fault. Like, I don't.
One was a power play goal. The other one, he was wide open. Whoever it was, right, wide open in front of the net.
I think it's so misguided when coaches are like, oh, I needed to spark the team to pull the goalie. Right. Like, I feel like that's a weird way to do it, and to do it the way he did it, where he called a timeout. Ottinger was halfway back to the goal, and then he was like, nope.
You know,
that's fucked up. Like, that's
douchey.
I'd be surprised if there wasn't like that doesn't cause a pretty severe rift. But DeBoer's always been tough on his goalies. Like, like that's just kind of.
He's also a very calculated guy, though, and that's like a few mistakes all in like 1 minute.
That's weird. I saw a look on his face. Like, I saw a still shot of the look on his face, and he just looked lost. Like,
DeBoer or Ottinger?
DeBoer.
I mean,
Ottinger was just sitting there stewing.
he was pissed. I mean, absolutely, and he should be. My whole thing with this pulling of him is like, dude, Messier. I don't agree with much of what Mark Messier says, and not because he doesn't know what he's talking about, because I don't like him because of Game 6, and we don't have to keep going back to that. So I'm going to
Even though you
forget
go to
about
the
it.
same barber.
But he said a perfect thing. He goes, "That's a move you make in December, January. It's not a move you make elimination game in the Western Conference Final. That is not the move you make to spark your team. You call your timeout, you read him the riot act, Ottinger included, and you throw his ass out there. I don't know. You rode with him all season long, all playoff long. He's been okay. He's struggled against Edmonton. Well, look, the NHL needs to come to terms with the fact that there is Florida and there's Edmonton, and then there's the rest of the fucking league, because nobody can hold a candle to these two teams. No matter how good in the regular season we sit here and go, it's Winnipeg, it's Carolina, it's Toronto, it's Dallas, it's Colorado. None of them hold a frigging candle to these teams, these two teams. And your back's against the wall and you pull your fucking goalie shit all over him, like you said, like he's halfway back to his net, and oh no, what part of get your ass into the locker room didn't you understand? And you put Casey DeSmith. I don't know if they would have won if Ottinger was in that game. I think they would have. I think they would have had a closer game. I don't think that third goal goes in if Ottinger's in net. I really don't.
I missed and the other thing and the other part of this, and he could pull him, not pull him. That's his kind of discretion. He's a good coach. I'm going to kind of, he's been around for a while. I think this is 7 or something conference finals he's been to. I think he gets a little bit of leeway in terms of how he wants to coach his team. However, what he said afterwards really was what rubbed me the wrong way. Like,
yeah, it's stats.
if you have that kind of problem with Ottinger, like keep that in the room. Just say, all you have to say is I wanted to spark the team.
Yeah. We came out flat. We were down 2-0. The team needed something, and that was what I went with.
And that's it. I don't know.
But yeah, it came out with stats going on about how terrible he is against Edmonton and all this other shit. Like, you just fucking destroyed this guy.
Yeah. That's the type of shit you do when you're game planning. If it were that bad and you go, hey, do we actually have to start DeSmith for this series?
Right.
Like, that's the type of rationale. You don't pull this now. It seems to me it's one of these things, and this is not DeBoer like at all, where like the outside pressure's mounting. Because for all the good thing DeBoer's done, right? He keeps getting there.
Yeah.
And he saw the writing on the wall. Nobody thought they were going to advance in this series once it got to where it was. And I'd hate to think that he allowed that kind of all those pressures to jump in, but maybe it did. Maybe it affected his judgment. But then he goes on and says what he said, and it does seem a little bit more personal.
Yeah.
Yes. Weird.
That's a good way to put it, Bobby. It does seem personal.
The other thing is and Rod Brindamore actually kind of touched on this a little bit, even though I think Brindamore's full of shit saying that like they weren't a cup favorite. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you were like on every like gambling site, you were like in the top 5 for odds. So
yeah.
Like,
what
stop,
did he say?
Stop. Oh, he was like, whoa, I didn't even think we were going to make the playoffs before the season
because of the exits, all the people that left.
Yeah, and it's like, what are you talking about? Like you're almost unanimously considered, top 5, top 7 team in the league. Like, what are you talking about? But what I kind of was interesting that he said, and I think a lot of fans need to take things into perspective because things can turn so negative so quickly. Is like they're one of the last 4 teams standing, and Dallas in particular, they had through Colorado.
What did you say, Robot Man?
A lot of people didn't give Dallas a shot against Colorado, and they walked through them, and then they walked. Am I doing that again?
No, you're good. You're good.
They went through Colorado, and then they went through Winnipeg.
Yeah,
I know. Did you hear me?
Yeah.
I mean, they went through Colorado, and they went through Winnipeg, and it's like they went through a pretty convincing favorite in Colorado, then the wire-to-wire President's Cup winner in Winnipeg, and they beat Winnipeg, right? It wasn't Edmonton. It was Dallas.
No, so it's Dallas.
42, yeah.
How about a little bit of positivity? Like, they made it through 2 of the best teams in the league to get to Edmonton, and Edmonton on the same boat. They went through Vegas, and
Kings.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Kings in
and
Vegas.
the Kings, and it's those are really good teams that they went through. So to get to the last four, like how about a little bit of positivity? And now because he goes and says something like this, it's that's what the story's about. And I liked how Brittamore kind of turned that around and is trying to spin a little yarn, about
Well,
not getting swept.
I also think that Brenda Moore might be feeling some pressure too. Like him and DeBoer, like enough already, guys. Enough. Like
Yeah.
I'm personally like I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of the hype that never fucking happens. It's time for some new teams that can come in and hopefully it's us next year. But I gotta just JJN 300, right? Do we need to sign a goalie this offseason? Did something happen that I missed, or is that just a question?
No, it's probably
Like,
just a question
okay,
about
because
there's a lot of talk about Allen, potentially resigning. I personally think our best move is to roll with Markey and Dawes. However,
Me too.
if
Need the money.
Ottinger suddenly says, "Get me the fuck out of here" to Dallas, I don't know.
I would take Jake Ottinger over any goalie that we have right now in our system, Markstrom
Yes.
included.
Yeah, but you'd have to make it
Yeah.
work. That would be another
Yeah, we'd
hard
have to make
play.
the money work, and
Didn't he
we're
just
not. We're
sign a
not.
new contract?
Yeah, he's got a long-term contract, and there would be a lot of moving pieces. But
Yeah.
you got to make the call first and see if it's an option before you go through the iterations of what you can do. But I think they roll with Markey and Dawes next season. That seems to make the most sense to me. And honestly, like I realize we'd be one Markstrom injury away from it being Dawes and Poulter, which doesn't necessarily instill a lot of confidence. But I think Dawes showed enough to be that backup, and I think he deserves a shot. Like I realize again, it's getting back to like why are we constantly replacing our up and coming guys with veterans? Like let's stop blocking people. Give
Right.
guys chances. Dawes was good last season. He was objectively very very good in the limited time that he saw. So. No, I do not think we need to sign a goalie.
And Bobby, what about you? Are you happy with Markstrom and Dawes?
I am. Yeah, I think that the progression, if you just look down the line, you can kind of see it, give or take an extension here or there. So I think it is time to get Dawes some action because, I mean, God forbid, in another sense, maybe he does get pulled into a full-time action. I want him up there. I want him getting the reps from the big guys. So
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think it's Dawes' time. I trust Dawes. I do, and I love Jake Allen. He was perfect. I mean, if anything, if we're thinking about an extension, a 1 year, I would rather see it go to Markstrom.
Yeah.
Next, not this coming season, but the season after, the 27 season. I'd like to see that more so than Allen coming back to back him up again. I just think, like you said, it's Dawes' turn.
how would
He's
you do
been the
if you
good
if you
soldier.
if you extended Markstrom another year after this year, and then we bring up our projected stud goalie, and then it just
Right.
becomes who's going to win the crease. And this way, if the kid does win the crease, now you got Markstrom back there as your 1B.
Yeah, and it's
That's
Yeah.
great.
if we have Markstrom and Dawes, then we give Poulter and Malik the time in the AHL. We give particularly Malik, who I think is the better, very good prospect. People are sleeping on him and his capabilities. Like, he had a very similar statistical profile to the kid in Anaheim whose name I'm blanking on. But
Dostal?
that Dostal, yes. And so you have Poulter and Malik in the AHL and then that's what Bobby was talking about in terms of making a decision on a Markstrom extension. Are one of those two ready to make the jump to the NHL? And then you roll with Dawes and Malik. Or you give Markey another year and it's still Markey and Dawes, and then Poulter and Malik, and then at that point, we're starting to talk about Yegorov and when he comes up. I still think he's maybe 3 years away, but he could come up in the AHL, put up a 950 save percentage, and be like, he's done. He can start in the league right now.
Yeah. He's cooked enough. I love Dostal, and if Malik is anything like him, I mean, we could have a little log jam of goaltenders, which would be awesome.
Yeah, and I see the progression. I think the future in maybe 3 years is Malik and Yegorov,
Right.
and as a tandem.
Another thing I do want to just bring up, Eddie Olczyk needs to stop being a fucking color commentator. This dude makes me so fucking angry when I watch him and he does the color. He's a he's a complete and total idiot. He misses most of the shit that goes on. And that's when he's paying attention to the game and not talking or trying, like, making fun of like Panger or somebody else because he thinks he's funny and he comes across as a fucking old bully dick. Or where they went for fucking steak the other day or whatever. The man is in his mid-60s. There's something extremely creepy and wrong and just gross about a guy that age using the term lather all the time. Oh, the crowd's all lathered up, and you sound disgusting, bro. Seriously, you need to freaking stop. You sound fucking gross. He needs to go.
You're
Enzo
just
needs
jealous
to
because
go.
he's thinking about lathering up his hair in the shower and
Yeah,
Oh,
we can
God.
grow hair if we want, just not all of it. Okay,
Just not all of it.
shampooing is not a problem.
why don't you go with the old Star Wars side couple double barrel guns on the side?
Yeah, that's a little headset there.
I'm
I
with
just,
you, dude. I don't like him. I hate hearing him. It never worked for me.
he must have said, "Oh, the crowd's in a lather," or "They're all lathered up," like 3 or 4 times. Like, stop! It's gross, dude. It's fucking gross.
Maybe he's got to get some of that Sweeney bath soap there, Tim.
What the fuck is that? That
I
is,
have no idea.
you have to be a sick. That's got to be some sort of psyop. Did you see this, Chris?
Yeah, the bath water.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's got to be some
Soap
sort of
made
psyop.
with
Like
dirty bath water.
immediately arrest anyone who actually buys this shit.
This is for creeps. That is literally
Yeah,
here's soap for creeps.
It's fucking.
I mean,
Like, people sell that type of shit like on like OnlyFans in the dark web.
I would I would probably drink Margot Robbie's toilet water. I might do that.
I know you think she's all that of woman, but that's a stretch.
That's gross, man.
It is
like,
gross.
That's gross.
Is it
That's
freshly
gross.
cleaned water?
Yes.
I mean, is it lathered up water or is it?
Ugh,
Oh,
listen to me. I'm all lathered up now.
Seriously, do you
Eddie
need to go
Olczyk
work
needs,
out that wrist or?
all right, time for the Jergens read and go.
Eddie Olczyk needs to go.
Use code Uncle Pucker's Tim for 10% off. Thanks.
Uncle Puckers get you 10% off. Uncle Puckers Tim gets you 25% off.
I think I have our finals here. Let's see. What did we pick? What did we pick?
I went in 6.
So Bobby we all took Florida. I took the sweep in 4. Tony took them in 7. Bobby took them in 6, and Timmy took them in 6. And then we all took Edmonton except Tony. Tony took Dallas in 7. Me and Tim took Edmonton in 7, and Bobby took Edmonton in 6. Yeah. So now
I thought I was going to nail that. I did think Dallas was going to pull off one more game. I really did.
I was shocked at how they came out. You know who they look like in that game? They look like the fucking Devils.
Yeah.
And what's up, Jay Snow? How are you, buddy? They look like the Devils. Like, I was like, is this New Jersey out there?
You're
like,
right.
Just missing passes, not playing, Go ahead,
Speaking of disappointments, I just got to go on and say, I don't know what you guys are feeling, but I'm kind of getting a little dud of a playoff here. And let me explain. Not only was 75% of the Final Four the same teams, and now the Stanley Cup is essentially a rematch. And even though I think Florida's probably the better team, I just feel like I have to root for the Oilers just to change it up a little bit. Other than the first round, which had a little bit of intrigue, and that's what the NHL wants, right? All those first round matchups that should be second and third. There hasn't really been much by the way of storyline. Look at this. 4 games to 3, 4 games to 3. So best is obviously 4-2, 4-2, 4-2. Then 4-1, 4-1, 4-1, 4-2, 4-1, 4-3, 4-1, 4-1, 4-1. Out of a possible 98 games, we've only gotten 80. It's just like all those 4-1 victories. There's not much to that. Maybe in game early, there was some energy and excitement, but all these series were kind of quickly statistically out of hand. Like you didn't maybe want to say Dallas was out of it, but then you were like, Dallas is out of it. Right? It's been
look what
kind
it
of
took.
boring.
Yeah, and Edmonton.
Look what it took Dallas to get one game. It had to come back 3 goals down in the third period to get the game won.
Their superstars disappeared. Rantanen, I think they only had 2 guys score a 5-on-5 goal through all 5 games. And Bobby, right? Like the first round's fun. There's 3 games a night, and it's every night, and it's chaos, and everybody's kind of got that energy. But then, as the
but
rounds go on, the cream starts to rise to the top.
supposed to.
And
But even the first round in the East, dude, it was 3 4-1 series wins and 1 4-2, and that was Toronto, Ottawa.
yeah,
And I don't remember that being like, wow, if Ottawa could just pull this off, it's got in the distance. Like
Chris is also right about, Edmonton and Florida are just clearly better than the rest of the league, but also like the West is so much better than the East. Like the East has had like 3 good teams, and we really just one good team. And the West, honestly, like if the Avalanche had gotten past Dallas, they probably would have been there against Edmonton, and who knows what kind of fight they would have put up. But
yeah, we talked about that.
I'm with you. I think the ratings are down pretty significantly.
Doesn't have much going on.
It's a
and with
rematch,
Edmonton, I think we all, at least the 3 of us, had the Kings finally winning because 3 or 4 years in a row, whatever it was, they were a tough team, defensive team. They played them really well, home ice, all the reasons we had. Once Edmonton beat them, that's when I was on record saying I'm not betting against them now the rest of the way.
Yeah,
and sure enough, here they are again. There's just something about them that it all came together again.
So now watching these teams, I'm like, I sold myself so much bullshit about how they weren't going to win. I talked myself out of both of these teams for some reason. I talked myself into Tampa Bay. I talked myself into Colorado, and yet here we are.
Yeah. So who do you got, Tim?
I think Edmonton wins. I think Connor pulls it out in 7 games.
Edmonton in 7.
He's got that look in his eye, man.
Okay, Bob.
I'm also going to go with Edmonton this time around. Again, I'll go with 6 just to change it up, and no disservice to Florida. I think it'll be close, but yeah, I think it's in McDavid's eye too. Yeah,
McDavid might have something in his eye, but I don't know what it is. But it's not the cup. I'll tell you that. This is over in 5. Florida will absolutely stomp them out of existence, and Paul Maurice and the Cats will collectively break all of Canada's heart once again. And Connor McDavid will be left holding Leon Draisaitl's ball bag when it's all said and done. Because when that team is healthy, when Florida has all their players in, nothing phases them. It doesn't matter. They could be down 4 goals going in a third, and these guys are like, nothing ever happened, and we got a tie game or we have a lead, and they'll go out and win. I look at Florida and I don't see a weakness. I don't see a weakness, top to bottom, coaching, all of it. I look at Edmonton; they're fantastic.
Sometimes and McDavid, it's just the moxie, baby.
Yeah, I look at Edmonton might have the better players here and there, but Florida to me is the better team.
Do you know what's doing it for both of them is the depth and variety of scoring. I think I sent it to you guys before. Is I think Florida has had 18 different players score a goal, and Edmonton's had 17 different guys score a goal.
That's insane.
That's remarkable. Like if you look at if you take our round 1 stats and kind of and take those averages over the course of like 3 series, we still only have like 4 guys who scored a goal.
And that's something that's kind of worrisome, right? Like to bring it back to New Jersey, like you watch Florida, you watch Edmonton, we're so far from that. I mean, I look at that and it's like we are so far away.
It's time to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be now or never. And if Tom Fitzgerald seriously pussyfoots around not making any big deal that might be out there, or wants to just tweak around the edges, this team's going to just keep doing what it does. If they make the playoffs, they're going to lose in the first round. I just want to see them win the first game. Go out and actually, I think that there's a lot of New Jersey, the pieces in New Jersey are there, but when you look at Florida, it's like, man, how do we get to that?
This is why when we look back at the regular season, and we cover all the games, and we're a Devils podcast, and we're trying to be a little bit of homers too, but the back-to-back series against Florida and the domination that we had about them really meant a lot to us and what we're capable of doing. It doesn't mean that if we had gotten past the first 2 rounds and met them, that we would have come out on top, because there's an argument to be made that Florida didn't give a shit about us the way we cared about them. That was in everything series for us, and they were like, "What the hell? You're just the Devils."
And it was early in the
we'll
year.
get there when we get
Yeah,
there.
it was early in
Right.
the year, and there is a different intensity level.
But it doesn't change the fact that from a mentality standpoint, it's in your back pocket that you can beat those guys. And that could be a real driver. Unfortunately, we're not there. And as the playoffs progress, that's, Chris, when you start talking about it, that's what I kind of meant by it's time to get this going. I didn't mean it's time for the team to realize their window. I mean, it's time to really talk about this in all honesty. We might be years from being as good as a Florida team. Not a year, not next year.
Here's the thing.
A lot has to go right. Like we need health,
Sure.
we need luck, we need things to just go right, and things just haven't gone right for the past 2 years. Like particularly on the injury front. Like losing Hyman is a pretty big blow to Edmonton. Like that's a pretty bad blow, and neither of these teams have really had. Maybe Ekblad on Edmonton is also a pretty bad injury, but other than that, like they've been relatively healthy. They got through the season unscathed. No major injuries, maybe to Matty Tkachuk, but like they were already in place, so they just could let them sit out. But the game is on the margins, like NHL player to NHL player. The gaps aren't that big, but their margins per player, like when you add that all up, that just makes them so much better as a team.
Florida was very good when Burnett was there. They won the President's Trophy. They lost in the first round, and Bill Zito made 2 moves that I think put him over the top, and it was Matthew Tkachuk and it was Paul Maurice, and that was really when Matthew Tkachuk came to that team. It changed everything. It changed everything. These guys all decided we're going to play like him, and they took on his identity. We've talked about this ad nauseum, and that's
it's magic
really
like you rarely see when something like that happens, and it works out that well.
Yep.
Right, but also remember Matthew Tkachuk, regularly puts up 100 points, so it's not like he's a scrub of a player.
No, I'm not saying that.
And I think that is something that a lot. And I just sorry to interrupt, but like I think that's something that people like want, that gritty, in your face attitude, right? But it needs to come with talent. Like, like talent will always win out. Like,
and that's that's why, again, like how we haven't had a like good healthy season. Like that's I said it last summer, like on we were talking about this, and I said the most important number next to Jack Hughes's stat better be 82 games played next year, and it wasn't. And that's like, if we can stay healthy, I think all the time, like how far would we have gotten this year if we were healthy? Because I do think we would have beaten. I think we could have gotten the Eastern Conference Final. I don't think we probably would have ended up losing like Carolina did in 5, but I don't think that us full health are better than Carolina. I mean, or worse than Carolina, or worse than Washington. I absolutely don't. So what does it need? What do we need? Like you say, like, you got to have the grit with the skill. Like, do we have that yet? Like, do you think that we have anybody that can play that part? I mean, I know we're supposed to have Timo play that part, and
he does,
but he does in the playoffs. Like, is that good enough?
Like, no, we need more. I think we need like a guy per line, basically. Like,
okay,
like so there's Timo with Nico, and then whoever winds up on their line. You have Jack and Brad, who obviously, Brad plays a physical-ish game, but he's not a huge guy.
They need somebody there.
Like that's why I'm holding a picture of Alex Tuck in my bed every night before I go to bed. Like I think he's big right-handed shot.
Tuck's in Tuck.
No, I'm just
Tuck, and he likes his big right hand.
I'm a lefty.
There was a little bit of talk about possibly trading for Jonathan Marchessault in this offseason, which kind of makes me nervous because we know how big Fitz was on trying to get him last summer. And is this going to be one of his I got to have him kind of things? And, Barry Trotz is going to basically take anybody to the woodshed who he makes any deals with. You're going to overpay if you're dealing with Trotz. It's just how he is.
Yeah,
so
I feel like Trotz's position is weakened a little bit, and apparently Marchessault has a 15 team no trade clause
Right.
that was I read today was quote unquote carefully curated. Not sure what that means.
He was
I've
thinking
also
about
read
coming
that I've
here last
also
summer, so I can't see us on that.
How many years does he have
uh,
though?
4. He has
He's
4
got
more
4
left.
years. He'll be
Through
36 at the end
he'll
of
be
next season.
yeah, exactly. That's my problem.
I feel
But
like it's 1 year too late. Plus, he had a dog of a season. I know Nashville sucked, but
right.
He was
that's
one of
I
the
think
few
you
people
you
that
put him
actually
on
played
Jack and
well.
Brad's wing, like
I
he'll
mean,
put up 30 goals.
he got 21 goals, which was half of his output from the year before, and minus 29. That's not all on him, obviously, but I mean, you know
No.
what? You can't even really look at Nashville was such a disaster. I don't even know how to look at
But it's
what he
also
did
like
last year.
another one of these things where it's like, he's a guy that would need power play time, and where does he fit into that mix? Are we going to go back to what we did or they tried 2 years ago, where they tried to have 2 good power play units, and we didn't really.
Didn't have any.
Hmm.
He's also, like he plays like a prick. I like that, and he's kind of like in the same vein as Marchand, where he's 5'9", but like an angry little elf. So
I
I
like
like him
Jonathan
from an
Marchessault.
attitude, and it's kind of like, hang on, I gotta duck out and come back in.
Okay, I like Jonathan Marchessault, and Jay Snow's right in the salary. Those guys have to go. Like I don't even know if we should even argue or discuss anymore. Like Palat, Hamilton. I mean, Palat, Hamilton, and Holla. They have to be off the team. Like we have to reset some of these guys and move forward. And make room for Quinn Hughes.
You really do. And whatever it takes for each transaction. If that means a buyout for Palat and you put your tail between your legs for a little while, that's fine. It's not working the way it is, and we need the room.
Yeah.
Now, I do like Marchessault. I think he would definitely fit on the team. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just looking at going again, age 36 at the end of next year. Then we got him for 3 more years at whatever money. I just don't know that he's the answer. But then again, probably better solution than some of the lower centers we got now. So.
Yeah,
I mean,
and he, I think he takes pretty good care of himself. We talked about it last time, how there's this kind of, I think the age thing has been rethought for a select kind of group of people.
Yeah.
In the league, you look at what Corey Perry's doing. Like he's almost our fucking age.
yeah.
You look at what Marchand's doing too. I like Marchessault. Just the end of that contract kind of scares me a little bit. Like that's a ridiculous contract, and that's another reason why I don't think Trotz has all that much leverage.
What's the AAV on that?
5.5.
5.5.
But I would take him in a heartbeat over Plot.
Now, Jay, I mean, Palat's got to go. Palat, Hamilton, Holla, they got to go, and you got to make some room. Now, Jay Snow,
All right, Hamilton.
I am having reservations about moving off of Hamilton now.
Why?
Because Kovacevic clearly tore a knee ligament, which is going to be probably 9 months to 10 months before he may even sniff the ice.
Good thing we, locked him up to that long-term deal,
Holy
before he even played a full fucking season.
And I don't think...
how many nights him and McDermott just sit there and laugh and just enjoy life?
Someone
show each other their fucking bank statements.
Yeah, woohoo!
Someone commented that on our...
Dougie's got to go. I'd rather just plug in fucking Seamus Casey for now. Make the deal.
I think Tim's saying wait a year.
No,
I don't know.
He loses all his value.
I think but we need a player like Dougie next year because Casey's not ready. Casey cannot fill Dougie's shoes.
There's a guy who wears number 43 who plays out in British Columbia. Go get that dude.
Well, yeah, okay, that changes the whole fucking paradigm of it.
That needs to be what if I know that so many people are like, oh, it's wait till he's a free agent. I've seen it all over social media. Don't do it this year. Fuck you. Do it this year, man. You gotta just whatever you have to do. Nemec is ready. Go get him. You got to move Casey. You got to move Hamilton. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with moving
here's
any
my
of these
one
guys.
thing when we go back and forth on this, right? We've had different opinions. We all would take them, no doubt. But here's the thing with the Devils and their window and all that shit. Like, you're right, dude. I mean, we're already like straight up against the cap. Like, you might as well fill it with the best players possible now and absolutely go for it because there's no point of sitting way up there and saying, we still need a year. We'll get them next year. Jack's getting older, not older, but Nico's been here a long freaking time
Pretty,
already.
pretty soon, Nico's going to be 30, and we're going to
Yeah.
be talking about Jack's shoulder, and Dougie's going to be out at the blue line taking clap bombs from a wheelchair, and we're just like, what the fuck happened to this team?
Yeah.
You guys
I
aren't going to
guess
have any hair. I'm
I
not going
guess
to have any hair.
On my back.
such a fear that like Jack doesn't stay healthy every next couple of years. He's in and out of a lineup, can never really do what needs to be done, and he ends up moving on down the road, goes to another team,
And yet you
ends up
still
like
want a
winning.
third Hughes. Jesus, man.
Well, I know I'm saying that's a fear of mine because I
Gotcha, I'm kidding.
don't trust Tom Fitzgerald to do these things. I really don't, because I don't think he has that fuck it gene in him. I don't think he has that. We're gonna go for broke and let the chips fall where they may. I believe in the
See,
core of these guys, and we're gonna go for it. I don't
That's
know if
why
he
I
has
don't
that.
understand. That's why I just made the comment that I made, because I remember, the poor Devils. I remember where money was a factor and we couldn't just do whatever. But if you're going to sit there maxing out anyway, max it out the right way,
Right.
say screw it, plot you're gone, do whatever you have to do, and just fill this team and win a championship.
The other thing about Quinn and why, it is, we only really are squeezed cap wise for next season. For the two after that, there's a world of possibilities that we can do.
Cool.
What
we can
I
juggle
don't
some
like,
shit.
what I don't like that I'm seeing here is I wish like we could put Markey in like a fucking hyperbaric chamber for like a year, and then have him be back for 26 at this age, because he might be really kind of falling apart when we are really, really, really ready to win. I don't think we're going to be ready to win. I do not trust Fitz to plug all the holes that we need to plug.
Neither do I.
Like I just we're so limited cap wise. We have so much dead weight. We got rid of some of it, but I have a feeling that Palat might still be around. I think I'm almost 90% certain Dougie's going to still be around, even though I think it's the right move to move off of him.
I agree.
I just want to be on record. I think it is the right move to move off him, but I think there's a world where he's still around. I think people need to get prepared for that. And he's going to score 25 goals next year.
I would say there's probably a 25% chance that Dougie Hamilton is not on this team next year.
25% chance of that.
I put it.
But like I'm reading what Jay Snow's writing here. Like, a big move if we have to is Brat. He writes like, yeah, I agree. Like if there's something that can help this team, I'm not saying a 1-for-1, maybe a 1-for-3 or something that can help this team in the long run. And you have to get off of a guy like Brat or whoever, Timo. I'm at the point where I don't care. As long as it's not Jack, Luke, or Nico or Markstrom, I honestly don't care.
I'd like to see this current group of guys win together, but I'm with you. Like, make this team better. If it's I see a big trade with Buffalo as a possibility, sending Mercer and Dougie to Buffalo to go play for Lindy again when they had their best seasons. If fucking throw in Brat there and get me Tuck, Paterka, and someone else, Jack Quinn or something like that. Like that plugs
Or
three
McLeod.
holes that we need. Or McLeod. Yeah, sorry, I totally forgot about McLeod.
Yeah,
the good one.
The good one. Like if you had a lineup like with let's say having Tuck in with them, having a spot for the two young guys, let's say Hamanio and Glitzlick, having spots for them. I don't know how you say his name. Doesn't matter. What is it? Gritsuk?
Gritsuk.
Gritsuk and Haminaha.
Hamana.
So those two, I'd like to see a place for them. All that's great. I don't know how much of the needle gets moved. And this is just my opinion, my head. But you insert Quinn Hughes in that lineup, I think we become cup contenders. I think right off the bat, our offense is our power play. Just the amount of guys on the line on the team now that can move the puck into the offensive zone. Our rush game should be fantastic. Like I see that as a absolute game changer. You don't, huh, Bob?
No, it's just that I still see a forward core that like can't do in the playoffs what needs to be done. yet. Like I know how much Quinn would help, but it's just a kind of nagging feeling that now something else has to happen down there on the forward lines, dude. It's
I agree.
I see that. You know,
I
look,
agree.
if we have Mercer or don't, fine. You know, he's a guy that's tradable. But I think cutting out a lot of that dead weight that we've already cut out by just not re-signing guys, I think that makes us worlds better. Like, and I mentioned this a few times about the production on our defensive end wasn't very good. And I don't necessarily put that exclusively on the players that we have. You know, those guys are making outlet passes to forwards that can't handle the fucking puck. Like, if they're passing it up to forwards that can actually handle the puck, get through the neutral zone and transition in the offensive zone, that's going to automatically make the defensive production a lot better. We get a guy like Quinn that can do that. Yeah, that's a hell of a lot better. Still think, that come back to that 3C position. I really do think Hala and Palat, would be 1 and 2 on my list of guys that need to go.
But would you be okay if down the middle next year, not talking wing at all, but down the middle, it's Nico, Jack, Mercer, Glass? How do you feel if that is our center depth?
I hate it.
Tell us how you really feel.
Honestly, Glass's 4C I think is good. I think he's kind of the exact type of guy that we need. Jack, hopefully has a bionic arm by then. Nico's a stud. But Mercer at that 3C, man, just like he stinks. He fucking stinks.
Okay.
Like I saw James Nichols posted something today, or wrote something today. It was like, our options internal. It's Dawson Mercer. And I was like, no, man. Like I just he can't win a board battle. He can't win a face-off. He can't drive play. He can't carry a line. Like you need a center to be able to carry the line. We need an upgrade there. We need to find an upgrade there.
I think Mercer's. If you're looking to trade, I think Mercer's got to be a guy. Maybe one of our younger defensemen, whoever. But Mercer's got. I don't want to see Mercer on this team next year.
It's a very tradable guy too. Like he brings a lot to the table. He's relatively inexpensive. He's one of those guys you could say give him a different shot at a different place. I do like him down the middle. I've said that all year. I think that's where he should have been. But if we're talking about a Stanley Cup championship team, I don't pencil him in as my 3C. So
okay, how about if this was down your middle? Nico, Sam Bennett, Ryan O'Reilly, Cody Glass.
So you got Jack on wing?
I got Jack on Bennett's wing.
How much are we paying Sam Bennett?
Jack's
better in the face-off dot than Sam Bennett, by the way.
Hypotheticals.
Sam Bennett's like 40%. I think Jack actually would play center on that line, to be honest.
I like Jack as a center. I just,
center's more than taking faceoffs. I know I keep going back to taking faceoffs. I honestly, like I've said before, I think kind of faceoff percentage is somewhat irrelevant. It is. Go look at.
It's less relevant.
Go look at the top 15 teams in face-off percentage last year. Tell me how many of them made the playoffs.
I'm not saying that. I just think that it's situational, and that's why to me it's so important situationally. That's why it's not something that you can just overlook. I don't think that it should be
starting with possession is obviously better.
That's why you have Nico and Glass, because they're both 55-60% face-off guys. So like, I don't think we need we don't need to bring in another guy just because he's good and
excellent. Right, got it. Yeah,
right. That's what I'm getting at. We have we have situationally two guys that can take offensive zone draws and defensive zone draws.
But we are saying that we need a 3C, and Mercer is not the guy. Hala is not the guy. Yeah. Whoever it is not on this team right now.
I do not think so. No.
And this is something that, again, we said for fucking all last year. All last year, like, we need him. Now, Jay brings up something that I have brought up to you guys a couple of times. Are you reading the comments?
I don't have it
because it is coming out now that Jonathan Taves wants to play, and he writes, "Go take a flyer on Jonathan Taves."
I'd give him a PTO, but again, I bring up
I would love that. He's saying Glass is too expensive for a 4C because he's what, $3 million a year.
$3 million's
for
fine.
4C.
That'll be fine in a couple of years. That's not really that much of an issue, I don't think.
I'm okay with Glass because he can play 3 and 4. You know, he has some value. He's a little bit, you know, you can move him around a little bit.
Yeah,
I
he can
like Glass.
PK. He can, and
He can
you know,
PK. He's good
he
defensively.
could power play. Like, I mean, Glass was drafted 6 overall. He lit up the WHL when he was drafted. So there's some offensive talent. He's also got good size too. He's like 6'3", 6'4", gets in the corners pretty well.
I'd like to see
Look,
Glass stay with us.
I don't want to accuse Jonathan Toews of anything, but he was the captain of that Chicago Blackhawks team. And to think that he didn't know, he's kind of got out of this a little bit scot-free, saying, I didn't know what was going on. That means he's a bad captain if he didn't know that was going on. So I am skeptical of that. However, if honestly, like, I don't know. I don't like that about him. He's also 37. Like, what are we doing? Like, I'd give him a PTO maybe just to see if he can still fucking skate. But
I'm going to give
to
you 4
expect him
more.
to,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
to expect him to come back and be any sort of impact player, I you know, on an actual signed contract, I think is more of a risk.
This will be the last center depth. Tell me what you think.
Okay.
It's Miko, Jack, Taves, Scott Lawton.
Oof, no,
$1.5 million. $1.5 million. Jay Snow's making the argument that he's better than Glass and he's a lot cheaper.
Scott Lawton?
Scott Lawton.
As a 5C, maybe. I'm kidding. I don't know. He was okay for Toronto. He didn't really score at all. Like, you know, I know we're not really wouldn't be looking for him to score, but he threw himself in front of some pucks. Sure. Like, if he doesn't really drive play, you know, but that's not what you're really looking for 4C. I still think he's also mid-30s too.
He's bigger than Glass, so he plays a little bit more physical.
Does he? Is he bigger than Glass? I
think he's bigger. No,
I think Glass is like sneaky physical.
Is he? Yeah. Oh well, maybe he is. Maybe I didn't see enough.
Strong in his skates, you know, and
I like Glass,
and it depends on what you consider physical. Like, is it being strong on your skates and being able to get into the corners?
To me,
battles, or is it just throwing a big hit that the crowd goes ooh?
It's all about possession. And hockey is all about possession. It's about those board battles.
Don't we also have Glass for another year already?
No, he's an RFA this.
Oh, he is an RFA.
Summer.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So he would need to be re-signed, and the projections were like 2 or 3 years at 2.9. Gotcha. I forget how long the term was. Lawton, sure, I'd give him a look. Like you know, there's a whole shitload of veteran 33 to 36-year-old centers that I think are actually kind of worth looking at, either in a trade, UFA.
3C should not be a problem to fill this year.
I don't know, but the problem is, there are like 20 other teams looking for a 2C, 3C.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you know, the Devils are an attractive team. They're you know, windows open. If you're serious about winning a Stanley Cup, there's not a ton of teams that you can look at and say, who gives me a shot in the next few years where I'm going to get steady ice time and be a everyday player on the team. Well, if I'm Claude Giroux, maybe I say New Jersey's the right spot for me, you know, or somebody like that, Ryan O'Reilly.
That would make so many people around here so miserable. Especially if we won a cup with them. Oh man, maybe we should do
Claude
that.
Giroux.
Yeah,
I like Claude.
Giroux, O'Reilly, Granlund, Duchesne. There's so many guys, but money's got to go out the door to make some of that work.
That's
you know, and that's the thing. Is like we all see what we think should go out the door, and we all see where the holes are. It's just how that becomes compatible.
Yeah,
is what I hope Fitz is fucking grappling with right now.
The thing with that is that you can say that there's a lot of things that aren't in a GM's control, but you can also put them into your control. You can do the buyout, no questions asked. You can do a trade that's like a loss leader. You know what I mean? You can get, you're not getting fair market value, but what it's doing for your team by removing that player opens up in another area. There's definitely ways to do it. Like Holla, like maybe you get a shitty return. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Holla in a third to just dump him. Palat in a third just to dump him. But I think there's a world where Palat is on Jack and Brad's wing again next year.
Then I'm not.
That would be such a fucking mistake, because I think there's a world where there are teams that if you just outright cut them, right? You're eating his salary. So, you bump that up to probably whatever next year, 6 million for 2 more years. That's dead cap. I'd rather see him go trade his ass to Anaheim or Utah or a young team that needs that veteran leadership and hold half. I'd rather get rid of him and just eat 3 million.
It's the better scenario.
There's tons of ways that you can
I
move
agree.
out of these guys.
I'm just saying, I see what, because like there's this, veteran leadership and little things and grit and.
I'm so tired of that, right?
Yeah, it's like what little things? Like what little things did he do? Because I don't fucking see them, and I'm pretty
Remember
good
that
at watching
time
hockey.
he did that really good board battle and made that really killer pass?
I'm pretty fucking good at watching hockey. I know what I'm watching, and I do not.
But do you remember that one? You
Yeah,
don't.
2 years ago in the playoffs when Mick
Nope.
going to jail fucking.
He did it again this year in a regular season game. It was like number 72.
Let me tell you something. There are two. Palat's been on this team now for 3 years, or 4, 3 years. There's 2 things that I remember that stick out about Palat in his 3 years. Well, I'll say 3 things. One is how inconsistent he's fucking been is number 1. There was that game where he got
very
his teeth.
consistent at being inconsistent. I
That's
don't know what
true.
you're talking about.
So I'll just make it 2 then. There was
skill.
that game. I don't remember who we were playing, but he got his teeth knocked out. He was a bloody mess. He got stitched up and he came out and he scored the game winning goal. And I was like, that's Andre Palat. And then we never saw that again. And that's the other thing that actually sticks out in my head is that the play you were just talking about, the goal against the Rangers, the board battle, how he just fucking, broke Kreider's ankle. I think it was Kreider that was there.
Kreider and then
that
Fox.
Beautiful pass over Fox's stick to McLeod. That's it. 3 years. This guy was supposed, we were so psyched when he came. Like, oh my God, we got Andre Palat. We got a true cup, fucking guy that knows what he's doing, that can help this team score those big goals. He's been nothing. Let him go. Bye.
For $6 million too, which is an outrageous amount of money for
Hamilton has missed 120 something games since being a New Jersey Devil. Bye. Done. Like, what are we doing?
How dare you talk about Dougie that way?
We need players. We need guys that can stay on the fucking ice, and I will give Jack Hughes a pass for 1 more year. If we fucking go into next year's playoffs and Jack Hughes is injured again, I will have some serious. We then have to do. I have serious
concerns now. Like, I think it's fair to be like, is this kid going to be hurt his whole career? He's slight framed. Like, when Jack's on the ice, he's one of the most electric players I ever say. I will defend him to the end of the earth, but it is a concern. Like,
yeah, I'm concerned too, but I'm willing to wait to, if it happens again next year, then I'm on fuck this guy territory. No matter how great he is. I mean, if you cannot stay healthy, it's such an old, stupid cliche in sports, right? The best ability is availability. This motherfucker's never available. So he has to stay healthy next year.
Dawson Mercer.
Dawson Mercer is our Iron Man. Absolutely. Has never missed a game.
Hasn't cost us any money with the dental plan. Because
I so wish that still hasn't gotten that fixed.
I paid more in dental plan than Dawson Mercer. All I did was eat an enchilada. That is bullshit.
Bobby got taken up by an enchilada, and Mercer's played like 300 straight games.
Got another 1,300 coming soon when I get the fake tooth put in.
Jay Snow makes another good point, saying we're talking about Jack and how he plays, and it says Patty Kane was a small, not physical guy who had the right guys around him, and he didn't have. He's saying that there were all fluke injuries. You have to at some point take responsibility for the way you play and be a little bit more cautious, and maybe that's not in Jack's DNA, but he has to understand.
Or maybe we go the next 6 years without a major injury to Jack. Like, we really don't.
We could.
He's all fucking brand new now, right? I mean, what else can he fucking break?
Yeah, he's setting off the alarms at every TSA gate.
We can rebuild him.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, what else can he fucking fix? Like, if it's another shoulder, like, dude, you have 3 fucking shoulders, dude.
But like,
you get a ligament from like a
weightlifter. Like when he hurt himself against St. Louis. And I know people are like, "Oh, Eichel kicked his legs out." No, he didn't. He toe-picked against Vegas and went into the boards hard. Like, stop doing that, Jack. It's his play style. It definitely is. Like, for someone who's as good of a skater as he is, he eats shit on the regular more than anyone I've ever seen. It's unbelievable. And I remember we were watching the. Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say, I remember we were watching the Four Nations, and everybody's like, the fuck's wrong with Jack Hughes? And we're like, yeah, this is what he does all the time.
Yeah,
Like he just falls. That's what he does.
Well, he'll fall, or he'll all of a sudden the puck's not on his stick, and
yeah, he just
oh
fumbles
shit,
the puck.
you know,
Like you could tell, like early in the game, like if he tries his own entry and loses the puck, you're like, oh, we're in a long one for
It's gonna
Jack.
be that, yeah.
his game, he needs good complementary players around him, and Brett is that, but he also needs like a shooter. I mean, a straight up guy that can hit the fucking net. But Jack Hughes does remind me, if you watch old Gretzky, like Gretzky was the same type of skater, fell a lot, would always lose a puck off his stick. It just, that's how those guys are. Their brains are 10 times, thinking 10 moves ahead of what they're doing, and they can easily, it happens. They're just that fucking good.
The turnover leaders in the NHL every year, it's Pastrnak, Kucherov, even
Panarin.
McDavid, Panarin, McKinnon, and Jack Hughes. You want the puck on his stick. Like, would you rather have the puck on his stick or Nathan Bastian's? I think that's pretty.
No. I'm just saying, like, Jack needs somebody.
No. I'm agreeing with you. I was making
you got to get. And the other thing, we talked about it a million times, right? Pucks on net. Like, we don't get the fucking puck on net ever. It's just frustrating.
With
my
the amount of shots that we got blocked and missed the net, like we were probably the worst one of the worst 5 teams in the league. Money Puck actually tracks those numbers of shots that miss the net and shots that are blocked, and it's a lot. Like you'd be surprised the amount of teams that are, the amount of shots that are actually blocked in the league. It's like every team, it's like about in the range of like maybe 32 to 25% of shot attempts are actually blocked. It's pretty remarkable.
If you took everyone off the ice except a goal and then the Devils, we would probably miss 20-30% of the shots on that. I mean, they basically play blindfolded, it seems. Like, what are you doing?
I have a picture of a shooter tutor in my phone just to like post on Twitter as a joke every now and then, saying I'm shipping this to the Prudential Center.
I really hope that Fitzgerald, gets it right this year. I really do. I don't trust him, but and I know we got to kind of bring it back to like what we were talking about. Like, if you really want to compete and win a Stanley Cup, you've got to be as good as these teams. You have to be as good as Edmonton. You have to be as good as Florida. Like, I know that Jack Hughes isn't Connor McDavid, but Jack Hughes at his best can carry a team to a Stanley Cup. Sure. And Nico Hischier can carry a team to a Stanley Cup. They might be the only 2 on our team right now that I think can, but you have some pieces. Like, do the fucking right thing.
You look at the upside of everyone on our team, and it's there. It's just the downside isn't. And the downside is everybody's fucking dead.
Yeah. Jay Snow just wrote that fucking dummy Bastian. Guy's 6'4" and couldn't beat up my sister.
Oh my god, dude. Bastian,
that's hilarious.
Bastian
he's got to go too. Like, we didn't even talk about it.
Oh, well, he's gone. Yeah, he's not. If they re-sign him, like, I may be with Bob and just not watch fucking Devils hockey anymore. I'm gonna go be a Rangers podcast.
Told you it's gonna be the Uncle Puck show.
It's gonna be Chris.
Uncle
Puck. I really love this. I lost everybody.
Where's Bastian gonna end up?
He's the biggest pussy
Seattle
I've ever seen for a 6'4" guy. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, he is a pussy. Yeah. Where's he going to end up?
Wherever Mike McLeod.
Seattle.
He's going to sit outside of McLeod's jail cell.
Yeah, and I think they probably are pen pals. They write.
He likes to go places here. He already knows.
Yeah. He's like, I can't believe you're getting away with this.
Bastian's got to fucking go, and then the guys that we know can be great. Character guys have to step up. I mean, Cotter and Nason, like, they have to do more.
Cotter and Nason disappeared from January on.
Yep.
They need to be more consistent. You see that them being more consistent. You see Glass.
Nason was probably my biggest disappointment the later half of the season. He was the guy I penciled in as a guy that would drive the team and not let them, not that he wouldn't lose a series, but not let them cave in a series and lose fucking 4-1. You know
he's that emotional leader that we need.
Really, what I expected. Even when his goals went dry, which was fine because he was on a banner fucking roll. Like, we knew it wasn't going to stick around forever. I thought that what he was going to bring, especially in the playoffs, would just be that little bit, especially against Carolina. As I was very disappointed with that because I supported that guy the whole way, like deep through. I thought he was just the best pickup we can do.
It sounds like he like totally betrayed you.
He
Supported him, man.
betrayed me.
I supported
No,
him.
I get that. I get how you feel. I mean, I don't think it's personal, but I get it. But maybe that's why he has to
Probably the
stay
whiskey.
on the bottom six. Like he has to be like Tim. You like him on the fourth line. A Cotter,
Third,
Glass,
fourth
Mason,
line, yeah.
line.
Because I
Cotter,
forgot.
Glass, Mason can possibly be one of the better four lines in the NHL if they all play up to their potential. Like that's what we need. A gritty, tough, guys that can control puck possession, can spend their shifts in the offensive zone and eat clock and give you the timely goal every once in a while. Like I think those guys are capable.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he still set a career high in goals. You have 22.
Yeah,
Something
but he
like
did
that.
it like you said right before Christmas, and then
He
there was
also
nothing.
Did it in the
Well,
first 10 games.
when
16 goals, 10
when
games.
Dougie went down and they put Luke on power play 1, they also swapped, like, an underrated thing that they did was they swapped Nason and Mercer and put Mercer in
Mason.
that spot, which
Oh yeah, that's right.
I was like, why did they do that? I don't understand that at all. Um,
Timo was
anyway,
playing the bumper spot in the
the
on the power
flank, yeah.
play in the Worlds. It's like, oh, Nico died so Timo can live.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, I don't know. I think we're going to have a much better, more consistent year. We got a good new coach coming in. It's year 2 of Keefe. I'm talking myself into this. Fitz is going to right all the wrongs. We're going to have McCann and Tuck and Rossi and Paterka and Quinn Hughes and Connor Hellebuck and Jake Ottinger. It's just going to be all fucking beautiful.
Listen.
It's going to be so nice.
Where we stand right now, I don't think you should be surprised at all if we're still a good team who makes the playoffs, but we're going to get rolled if we don't make some big changes. It's going to be more of the same.
Yeah.
They can get there now when healthy, and they probably can even compete for a round or two, like we said, but they're not 4 rounds deep yet.
No, and you know what the thing is too, like you can't fuck around in the regular season. Like we can't have a second half next year like we did this year. You're not going to make the playoffs. Like there's too many good teams now coming in the Eastern Conference, right? Montreal is, trying to be a perennial playoff contender. Ottawa, Buffalo, I'm sorry, but
Buffalo's
Tage
shit or get off the
Thompson is
pot.
a fucking animal, and if he can carry a team. So I think Buffalo, look at nobody scored more goals, I think, in the last 2 months of the year than Buffalo.
They scored a shitload of goals all season.
They're coming on.
I'd send Jesper Bratt to Buffalo for Tage Thompson in a heartbeat.
Are you serious? I would send like half of our team to Buffalo for Tage Thompson.
I know Bratt probably wouldn't even be enough.
But he has a lot of work to do, and he's got to do it right and the health is the other thing. Like that's it. Like we have to go into the playoffs at close to 100% health. I understand that, nobody's healthy by the time the playoffs come. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about no injuries. No,
you mean like you want to have a blue line?
Yeah, I'd like to have a blue
like
line
a
open,
guy, where they look around the room and they're like
Jesus Christ, man.
one of
Hey,
you
you
guys?
play D?
Yeah.
No? Do you want
they're like in the crowd is like, you have your shit with you? All right, get in. It's
You're
like,
paired up
the
with Duno, and you're going to play 35 minutes tonight.
Are you a lefty? We only got a righty stick.
You're fine. It doesn't matter. We got the Volvo Scoro stick. You can use that. The health thing is obviously paramount, but it's they have to get that experience of going multiple rounds, because you can tell for Florida, they're like fucking Matt Damon and Good Will Hunting, where they're like, do you see how easy this shit is for me?
Yeah.
Do you see how easy it is? This is a fucking joke.
So who's going to come and punch him in the face? That's what I want to know. Like, because who's going to be that team that's finally going to give them a fucking battle? This team hasn't lost a playoff series in 3 years. It's fucking insane. The last series they lost was 2 years ago against Vegas in the Cup final.
Right.
I mean,
well, Bobrovsky, once his deal's almost over, this run's going to end because
they're getting older.
They're getting older.
Sure.
Some guys' contracts are expiring. They're going to scatter a little bit, but as long as they have Barkov, as long as they have Kachuk, as long as they have Reinhardt, that's it. They just hit on this beautiful mix of players. And it's just, it's not going to happen for everybody. It's not going to happen for the Devils. We have a good mix of players, I think, but they just have this perfect mix of players.
Yeah. I mean, you can't copy them, of course. That's just it's who they are, and but Look, I think our team is I think we are one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference when we are healthy and playing the right style game. I really do. But again, like, does anybody think the Rangers are not making the playoffs next year? Like,
Yes, I hope they don't.
I don't.
Never
Of
again.
course, we hope it. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, they're going to be back, right?
Well,
I
they're
mean,
about to give Rempe an 8x8. So
are they really?
no, come
Oh,
on. They're gonna give him like $2 million, maybe, which is
I
still
wouldn't be
fucking
shocked if
ridiculous.
they gave
2
him
by
fucking
8.
8.
But they might ship Kreider out. I mean, fuck, I'd give Kreider a look too.
But see, that's the thing with that. I mean, we can go on about the Rangers. I don't want it too much, but why I think they're fucked is because of their contracts, because of these huge money contracts. You can't move them. You can't move Kreider, Zibanejad, Panarin. You can't move their fucking deals. And that's a problem, especially Zibanejad. Like, you're stuck with them. And then you
Oh,
just
yeah.
locked up JT Miller till 2030. Like, they're old.
I
And
think that I don't think they're a bad team. Like they unless they address their D, like they're not a good team.
I think there's a lot of truth to that, but I don't, they have a lot of really good forwards, and that makes me nervous. Their power play is always fucking scary. They could be a good team again.
Still got a great
Drury's gonna
goalie
get
when he's not giving up
yeah
5.
Yeah, when
yeah
he's giving up
fantastic start.
5.
Like if Drury gets away with getting out of Zibanejad's contract, and Fitz is like, well, nobody would take Palat.
If you get out of his contract with no retention, yeah, then and you let Drury, who's a fucking dumbass, you let him pull that off. Yeah, I mean, he can't. The
Is there
only
any
reason that Fitz wouldn't do it is because I honestly think there's a piece of Fitz that just feels bad for guys, and he's like, I don't want to
Yeah,
do
he's
that to
soft.
him.
I don't want to
Stop
call him
being soft.
soft.
It's a
I don't.
business, dude.
Yeah, it's like we've said this before. It's like, when are all these favors that Fitz has done for people going to come back to him? Like,
Right.
Appreciate the good guy routine, but it's like,
It's not how it works in
cash in a
hockey.
couple of chips here, pal.
Yeah. We want to win a cup.
Yeah, go get me O'Reilly, Marchessault, Tuck.
So many guys.
Turco.
So many guys. Like, he could honestly rearrange the majority of this team.
It's crazy. There's so many options out there.
Yeah.
And so many. I don't really think we should go dipping too deep into the UFA pool, but there's so many options. And if you looked at the UFA list for next year, it's outrageous.
Yeah.
After the season, you mean? Yeah.
I mean, it's like McDavid's a free agent, which
I thought that was this year.
He will be.
It's
I know.
Next year.
I think it's next year. Yeah.
Okay.
He's extension eligible.
16 by 16.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, well, yeah, maybe 10% of the Oilers. I mean, what are you going to pay the guy?
Exactly. Well, yeah, that's what they offered Gretzky.
They're all going to be crying in 2 weeks anyway, though, when fucking Florida's raising another Stanley Cup. And the mouth breather Kachuk is the.
You know what needs to happen is Stuart Skinner needs to keep playing the way he's playing.
Yeah, he's been great.
He's been really good.
I have to, real quick, before we wrap this up, I just have to acknowledge something that Jay just wrote to me. He wrote, Chris, what's up with the Vikings this year? Over 8.5 wins. Well, first of all, Vegas has no belief whatsoever in Minnesota because of JJ McCarthy. The 8.5 wins is them just completely hedging their fucking bets, because they know if they do what they did last year and give us an over under of 6.5 and win 14 games, they're not going to do. They're winning.
I'm going to tell you this
right. He writes, the Vikings are going to blow. The Vikings are going to be so fucking good this year. People are going to be shocked. I see 13 wins. I see winning the NFC North, and I see being in the NFC Championship game.
So I can bet on the Vikings having more than 8.5 wins.
Yeah, that's what the Vegas has, because we have a quarterback.
What were the odds? Does he have the odds on it?
No, it's just I know the over under was 8.5. But he wrote JJ's ass. I'm sorry, Chris. JJ McCarthy is going to be such a fucking good quarterback this year.
Careful, Jay. You're gonna get blocked by Chris.
I'll never block him. But who's your team? Like,
only
seriously,
3. We
like,
can't
if
go
this is coming from
people.
If this is coming from a Packer fan, a Bear fan, or a fucking Lion fan, I might block you. But stop. The guy's got a fucking howitzer for an arm. He was the second fastest at the combine. The only player that ever threw faster than him was whatchamacallit from Buffalo.
That's a
oh my God!
phrase.
Josh Allen. The only one. JJ McCarthy is smart. He's a leader. The guy has done nothing but win his entire life. High school, won a state national championship. College, won a national championship.
It's got
And
Chris
you're a
going on the
fucking
Vikings.
Giants fan, and you're gonna talk shit? Like, seriously, dude? Jackson Dart? Stop.
I can't keep doing this with Tim having like this like social media profile picture up,
Yeah,
frozen. He's all like touching his hair and smiling.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, so yeah, you did. Jackson fart. But anyway, you are going to be sadly mistaken, because Minnesota is going to be a very good team. And I'm not just saying that as a homer. I'm saying that as, where's their weakness?
Well, how did you become a Vikings fan? Like, why?
He likes
You know,
purple.
yeah, I was like 6 or so, and I was walking past the TV, and some Giant game was on. I asked my uncle who the purple team was. He said the Vikings. So in my head, I was, okay, I'm a Viking
You're
fan.
like, cool.
And then,
Cool name.
and as I got into football, that was like the team I just kind of gravitated to, and now I'm fucking diehard.
All right.
It's
gonna be an all purple Super Bowl.
I think it very well could be. I think it could be Baltimore, Minnesota. Like Jay,
Pretty sure
Jay
one of the
Snow
teams
has
wears white.
this. What's that?
Pretty sure one of the teams wears white.
Yeah,
Purple
one of them
trim,
will.
Bob.
Yeah. Oh, the
There
trim.
will be purple
Is that what
helmets.
that's what's
though.
called? The trim.
One of the
They will
teams
wear
will have
purple
trim.
helmets.
The
And
home
but
team,
there's
the
this.
home team will be purple, so Baltimore will be purple.
See, here's the
They
thing
won't-
with
they're not making
JJ McCarthy. Not that you guys care, but I'll explain it to you. So, JJ McCarthy played in Michigan. He won a national championship in Michigan. Jim Harbaugh was the coach. They ran the ball all the time, right? They had a great defense and ran the ball all the time. So there's this narrative that JJ McCarthy can't play quarterback because he wasn't asked to throw the ball 35 times in a game.
Tell me more.
Well, I mean, look, it's basically Brodeur, right? It's Brodeur sucks. He only has, 20, 25 saves a game, right? Whatever
That's
it
some
is. Like,
bullshit right
that's
there.
the mentality. That
All right, now you
Did
well,
they
when the guy
change the
had
field for
40
JJ
saves-
McCarthy?
What's that?
Made it shorter.
Did they
What'd you
change
say?
the field for JJ McCarthy?
Well, what he wrote
Had a
here is
little
Baltimore
trapezoid in the
always
pocket.
shits the bed too. He's just going down the fucking.
All right. I'm in therapy about that. All right, so fuck off.
He's going to get a
Okay.
massage
Yeah.
with Justin Tucker.
Jesus.
All right, we're gonna wrap
It's-
this thing up. It's getting late. You could tell we're
yeah.
getting a silly season here.
Yeah, we
Getting-
are.
Jay,
But,
thanks so much for chilling with us tonight, man. It's always fun hanging out with you, and thank
Was
you.
it just Jay?
There were a few people, and now there's only Jay, but there were a few people in and out.
All right.
But Jay's
Breaking
the only one that
records.
talks. All right, Jay, you made your fucking point. All right, go away. And
All right.
all right, guys, wherever you're listening to us, you know what to do. Like, a 5-star review, a positive comment. Helps a little podcast that good. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, please hit subscribe and the alert bell. We really do appreciate it. I'm Chris. That's Bob. The other guy's Tim. We're the Uncle Puckers. And we'll see you when we see you.
Shut the puck up. Come on.
Fuck you,
Ooh,
Valley Cat.
shut the puck up. I like that one.
Fuck up, Uncle. Fuck up.
It's over, Johnny. It's over!
What?